So what do you do when the quality of journalism education in your country is poor and many journalists don't follow even the basic principles of reporting? That's the question that I decided to answer together with my friend Renat back in 2007 when we founded a journalism school and a news website, 2 in 1. We called it Kloop, and the idea was that we gather young people who are studying journalism, but not just studying it by visiting boring lectures, but they actually try it from the very beginning by themselves, by writing real stories for a real news website. The problem was that because of the educational nature of the website, it was difficult to compete with other media outlets in terms of quantity of the stories published, and also in terms of the scope of the topics being covered. So we decided that we would do something different, that we would work on quality, that we would explore some unusual, innovative trends that no one had ever tried before us. The first major trend that we decided to explore was actually using social media in journalism. And I know that it's not surprising today anymore because everyone is using social media today, but back in 2007, when we started doing it, it was pretty unusual, to be honest. We found out that social media brings us, first of all, some news stories, which no one had heard about before. It also brings us eyewitnesses from events which are happening, and also social media helps us to spread information that we had just published for a wider audience. In August 2008, an airplane crashed near Bishkek, the capital of Kyrgyzstan, killing most of the passengers. And suddenly we were actually the first website that published a story about it, a breaking news story about it. And it happened because we tracked down various internet forums and social media, so that's why we found about it earlier than other journalists did. And there were some amazing stories happening because there were not so many users back then. It's August 2008, right? But still, it was enough, actually, to get information from online sources. And sometimes stories would go really crazy. Like, for example, with this plane story, what happened was that one of the employees of the airport leaked information about all the passengers that were on the plane. So that's how we, for example, had this list before it was officially published. Which of course started getting us, cases like this started getting us more advantages before than comparing to other journalists. And again, it's not a surprise today anymore. Today everyone is doing that. But those years it was pretty unusual. Another trend that we were one of the first ones in the country to explore was live coverage of events. We took it up from bloggers, if you still remember this word. In 2005, Kyrgyzstan had its first revolution, which was called Tulip Revolution. And what we found out was that some bloggers were writing live updates of what was going on. Of course, it was text by then, just pure text. But these updates were of a much higher quality than what traditional journalists were doing. So we decided to catch up with this format. And again, starting with 2007, starting with parliament elections that happened that year, we started also covering major and important events in this live format, live text updates format. So in 2010, we had another revolution. Our country is a champion of holding revolutions among Central Asian countries. So by then, by 2010, we were quite ready, actually. We knew what to do, so we did the minute-by-minute coverage of what was going on. And there was a progress with that because we did not just post text updates, we also did post photographs along with that, which was a huge step forward. In 2014, we went further and we tried our first live video streaming for the first time. And as you can see from the picture, the quality was not perfect, but still it was, again, a huge breakthrough because no one else was doing that except for us back then. And by October 2015, the quality of live broadcasting has emerged so that now we could do HD quality. This is an example of a video streaming about the special operation of the police who were catching some prisoners who escaped from the prison. And now we were able to make it in a very high quality, live, But another important thing is that then other media followed us as well. And I think by now there are something like 4 or 5 media outlets in Kyrgyzstan that are also doing live video broadcasting. The third major trend that we brought to the country was drone journalism. This is Dr. Reynat Tukhvatchen, the other founder of Kloop. And in 2012, he built the first drone for our newsroom by himself, because drones were not sold back then. And people could not really believe us when we were telling them that we're going to use flying machines for our purposes. So that's why whenever we would tell about this, people would think that we were either lying to them or we had gone mad. But still, Reynat managed to actually assemble this drone at our office, and it even flew 4 times. I should also say that it crashed 4 times. And on the 4th time, it crashed so heavily that we could not assemble it anymore. But the thing was that during these 4 flights, this drone managed to film something like 15 minutes of footage, which was already for us like a huge breakthrough. Wow, cool, we can do that. But then after this 4th crash, we decided to give up and not to assemble drones anymore, because actually by 2014, machines like this started being sold. They started being produced by companies who are specializing on that. So we decided that we would follow this trend and we would buy a drone instead. And some other people in Kyrgyzstan also started buying these machines. We noticed that people who were using drones since 2014, they would usually start with making videos about beautiful landscapes of Kyrgyzstan, which is cool, no doubts. But we thought we can actually use them for something else. We could use them for news and for even investigations. And that's what we started doing. This February, we published an investigation about how a Russian company tried to build a hydroelectric power plant in Kyrgyzstan. This Russian company spent $37 million on that, together with the Kyrgyz government. And then they announced that the project is a failure, and they're not building it anymore. So everyone's question was, what the hell was this $37 million were spent on? We decided to fly a drone over the construction site, and using some data that we managed to gather, we actually showed on this beautifully shot video what exactly this money was spent on, which was such a great display for readers, easy to understood, and for us, it was also another breakthrough in terms of how do we report about stories. As a result, there is now an official parliament investigation going on, because especially after this video, people cannot believe that this construction site was worth this insane amount of money. And more media outlets are now also buying drones and are also trying to use them for purposes which are different from just entertaining people. And as I mentioned, data, the 4th major trend that we are introducing in the journalism of our country right now is using big data for serious investigations. So in the same story about this power plant, what we used was we scraped the database of the Ministry of Justice so that we'd be able to look for companies not only based on their names, but also based on their addresses, based on their phone numbers, based on the names of the founders, and so on and so forth, which allowed us to actually find a lot of suspicious financial activity in this project. We found out, for example, a company that belonged to a relative of a government official, which also gained a lot from this failed Russian project. We also found out a number of companies which were registered just shortly before the government bid for this construction was announced. So, oops, sorry, this was a spoiler. I mentioned in the beginning that we are a youth website, right? I said that it's young people who are doing that. But I did not intentionally reveal the age, because whenever I'm telling people what is the age of the people who are doing all these amazing stories, people usually don't believe me. Because, well, who is young? I'm 30 and I think I'm young. I hope so. But, well, these people who are doing this story, they are much younger than that. So, the airplane crash story of 2008 was mostly covered by Evgenia, who was 17 at that time, and still exploring this new trend. Timur was 15 when he was one of the key reporters to cover parliament elections in 2007, so he was also behind this first live text updates. Tilek was 18 when he became one of the key camera operators at Kloop. So he did this police operation live reporting, for example, and he was also the person who was operating the drone that flew over the hydroelectric power plant. And Olga is 23, and she was the one who analyzed the big data for this investigation about this hydroelectric power plant as well. And these are just some of the people who were going through our school and through our website through all these years. And as you can see, they are extremely young, and that's what Kloop was usually famous for, that these young people are doing some amazing job. And eventually, Kloop became one of the biggest news websites in the country. It's now the 5th most popular news website in the whole country. Still, most of the contributors are people aged usually 14 to 25 years old. And that's why I love working with young people, because they are usually the most open-minded. They are really very much open to experiments. And they are usually having much less stereotypes and bias. They are the ones who are able actually to think totally out of the box. They are also very brave. And they're usually not afraid of, for example, questioning authorities. They are not afraid of holding crazy investigations. And I think that all these wonderful stories that happened, they did not happen despite the age of people who were writing them. But actually all this coverage happened because of the age of people who were doing them. And who can be actually the best example of the fact that there is always a way? Thank you.